Perspective is another one of those wonderful words that has two meanings. It can mean the art of representing three-dimensional objects on a two-dimensional surface, so as to give the right impression of their height, their width, their depth, and the position in relation to each other. Matt Skinner of Fuller Seminary tells the story of his high school biology teacher who made them draw a pencil at the start of each class. That was to help them to be able to draw field notes of flowers and animals when they went out on field trips. Drawing the pencil helped them to get the perspective right. But one day, one of the class handed in, a circle with a dot in the middle of it. The teacher was confused. "What's this? I asked you to draw a pencil." "It is, sir," said the student. "It's the end of the pencil. The bit you look at it, just looking at it from a different perspective." And he was right. It was just a different point of view. A new perspective. We know immediately when we look at a drawing or a painting if the perspective is off, mostly. And when we don't, like in an optical illusion, our minds are scrambled. But perspective also means a particular attitude towards or way of regarding something. Perspective is a point of view, and we all have one of those. I wonder, what has shaped yours? What has influenced what you believe and how you think about the world? What's informed your point of view? This week I've been teaching the latest two groups of people who are learning about leading worship in their own churches. And that's one of the questions that we have been thinking about. Why do you think and believe what you think and believe? And where did that come from? The question is based on the idea that each of us is in some way everything that's ever happened to us. We're a collection of experiences, and all of it, to a greater or lesser degree, makes us who we are. That can be anything, from what someone has said to us in the playground at school when we were 6, to the words of a song, to pages from a book, your parents, the films that you watch, the places that you have visited, the people that you're related to, and the people you're friends with, the newspapers, the magazines and websites that you read, and the jobs that we've done. All of it influences us, it colours how we see the world. All of it creates our point of view. It affects how we understand the world. Things like relationships, what we think is fair, our attitudes to power and money and sex and family and justice and race and gender, all of it. Even what we think about God. It's all seen from our particular perspective, one that we have developed throughout the whole of our lives. So for example, when we hear the story of Jonah, what comes to mind? Maybe two things. Being a Jonah is a phrase that's entered into our language. It means to bring bad luck, and that Jonah was swallowed by a whale. When you hear the story of Jesus calling the fishermen to follow him, some of you will hear in your head the song that you learned in Sunday school or sang at school assemblies. "I will make you fishers of men if you follow me." Yeah? All you see is that bit of the story. The part that someone else has told you about, probably a long, long time ago, and it's stuck. We think we know it, and so we don't need to bother looking at it again because, well, there's nothing new there, is there? I like when people tell me they don't believe in God, because then I get to ask them, why not? What is it about God that you don't believe in? And mostly people say stuff I don't believe in either. And mostly the last time that they gave any real serious thought to who or what God was a long time ago. And that's odd because I'm pretty sure that we don't decide whether or not we believe in gravity when we're 12, or quantum mechanics, or love, or, well, pretty much anything else, really. It's a bit like thinking that a circle with a dot in the middle of it is what a pencil looks like. It is, but it's far from the whole story. If we do that, then we have a problem, because we won't ever learn anything new, we won't ever reconsider, we won't ever change our minds. Brian Cox, the physicist, was asked in an interview if he believed in God. His answer was brilliant. He said something along the lines of, "I haven't seen any evidence to disprove the existence of God. So as a scientist, I can't say no. No matter how sceptical I might be, I have to be open to the possibility that new evidence will come to light." We live in a world where that kind of openness is rare. And that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem for us because reconsidering, learning something new, changing our minds is exactly what we're being invited to do. Jonah's a brilliant story about someone who changes their mind. Jonah is minding his own business when God tells him to go to Nineveh, to tell them that they're doomed if they don't change their ways. Jonah didn't want to do what God asked of him because Nineveh was the worst place anyone could ever go. It was a terrible place full of violence. They'd invaded all their neighbours, like Jonah, and committed awful crimes against them. Why would anyone want to go there? And more to the point, why would anyone want to go there and tell them that they're doomed? That's not going to end well for me. The only person who is doomed is me. So Jonah runs away in the opposite direction. He gets on a ship and he sails away. But there's a big storm and the sailors think it's because of Jonah, so they throw him overboard. And then a big fish swallows him. And he's inside the belly of the fish for 3 days. The fish spits him out, and God tells Jonah again, go to Nineveh. And so he goes. And Nineveh's massive, it would take 3 days to walk across the city. So Jonah walks for a day, and in the morning he starts to tell the people that they have 40 days to shape up, or God is going to destroy their city and all of them. And much to Jonah's annoyance, they believe him, and they change their ways. So Jonah goes and sits under a tree and sulks, because God hasn't obliterated Nineveh. Why does Jonah sulk? Because he doesn't want them to change. He wants them to be punished. It's a morality tale, a lesson for all of us about the possibility of change, even for people we either don't think can change or we don't want to change. Because we wouldn't know what to do with them if they did. We would have to change too. There's a great scene in the movie The Commitments where two of the newly formed band meet in the dole office while they're collecting their unemployment benefit. Saxophonist Dean tells Jimmy, the band manager, it feels much better to be an unemployed musician than an unemployed pipe fitter. Perspective. I wonder about the perspectives of those 4 fishermen that Jesus meets. They're minding their nets. They're getting ready to go back out onto the Sea of Galilee to fish at night. It's all they've ever known. They're fishermen. It's not just their job, it's their identity, the work of their family. James and John are with their dad Zebedee when Jesus walks along and invites them to see the world differently. Come with me, I'll make you fishers of people. Come with me and I'll help you to use what you are, what you know, for a different purpose. Come with me and I'll give you a completely new perspective. The word that means change your perspective is repent. It means to rethink, to change your understanding, to get a new perspective, a different point of view. Come with me and I'll open your eyes to how all this really works. I'll show you why empire's a lie, how power and violence and wealth are illusions, how fame is false, and how religion has been corrupted. And once you see it, you can't ever unsee it. But to help them to understand, Jesus doesn't use a load of big fancy church words. He talks to them in their terms. I'll make you fish for people. But that's not the only option. I wonder how that would sound for you. When Peter speaks on the day of Pentecost, he hears... I wonder how that would sound for you. When Peter speaks on the day of Pentecost, people hear his words in their own language, and we're surprised and confused by that. But it starts when Jesus talks fishing on the shores of the lake. I wonder how that would sound for you. When Peter speaks on the day of Pentecost, people hear his words in their own language, and we're surprised and confused by that. But it starts here when Jesus talks fishing on the shores of the lake. I wonder what Jesus would say to you. Hey you, yes you, come and follow me, bring all that you are with you because you're going to need that. Some of it will help you speak to people who have had the same troubles and the same joys as you. Come and see. Bring it all. Come and see. Come and see that the world looks different from Jesus' point of view.